Hey, what's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to Wednesdays on D.O.T. compliance on ATI, the car shipping business channel. Thank you so much for taking the time. Remember, skip ahead. You can skip ahead, look down in the video description, find the time codes that apply to you. I know I make long shows, and I apologize in advance, but use the metadata to your advantage. Jump in the live chat, say hello. What's up, John, LAI Auto Transport, Devin at Victory Lap. What is good? What's happening? Don't forget, please do help me out. Leave a like. You can click share, click copy, grab that YouTube link. Why? Why would you do that? Well, because we know that FMCSA, DOT regulations, when you take your stack of paperwork and your regulations and your websites and all the stuff you got to file and everybody got to do, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. In fact, that's a full-time job. In fact, that is what Brian Riker does, your DOT guy, Fleet Compliance Solutions, and he spends 30 minutes a week here on DOT Compliance to help answer questions and help you out. It's a public service, so do us a favor. If you need help, go to autotransportintel.com, click on sign up, become an ATI insider, let us know how we can help you. We'll put you in touch with Ty. That'll get you on the email blast. You know that we do shows weekly on Tuesday nights. New topics. Last night's topic, we'll talk about that. We've got updates and information in the government. I got stuff in the news. I can't even remember what it is because I just organized it, and each day just flows by like crazy. But what's up, Vlad? Thanks for tuning in. David at Two Bears is here too. And now it is time to bring in our special featured guest of the week, Brian Riker, your DOT guy. What's up?
Hey, Jay. Hey, ecosystem. My ego, if you keep going like that, that is quite the introduction, my friend.
You ever feel like it's a bit of a three-ring circus mixed, but there's a desk and like a microphone and a pad of paper and regulations. So which makes it reminiscent of federal government.
Absolutely. I'm slightly more useful than federal government, though.
That is a true statement. In fact, that is actually well said. That's the point of DOT compliance, is to be as informative as the federal government, but much more engaging, fun, entertaining, and real. So we try to keep it real. Yeah, we try to keep it real. So what are you doing today? What's going on in the cab?
Oh, I'm finishing up my logbook because I am still blessed where I am allowed to use paper logs.
Wow.
That's the beauty of drive-away transportation. And I am taking a 5-axle Jordan rotator, you know, the $750,000 tow truck that comes out and cleans up the big truck wrecks, taking that back to a customer I picked it up from in Texas at the beginning of the month. It came up and had some work done on it. And so I'm going to get out of it was 11 below this morning in Iowa when I walked out of my hotel room. And I'm going to get to where it's at least above freezing for a day.
Wow. Yeah, no, and that is, you know, if you're cold out there, post in the live chat. Feel free, let us know what's going on with you, where you're at, loading, unloading, location, company, temperature. You know, what are you eating?
Exactly.
Post what you're eating.
Well, speaking of eating, we're going to discuss that in 2 weeks because we're going to start diving into keeping you qualified to stay on the road. The FMCSA just changed the diabetes rule last year, but that doesn't mean you can eat whatever you want and blow up like a balloon. We still got to work on trucker health, and we're going to work on that coming up soon.
That's a great idea. In 2 weeks, Mark from truckandfit.com. That is exciting. I'm glad you pointed that out. And I just want to say hello, Silver Mint. Hello, Chris Chamberlain. Thanks for tuning in, saying hello. Let's do this. Let's do some news stuff. We'll start with, just want to mention last night's show. You know, not everybody's into the load boards, but most people look at them from time to time. Even the larger companies. You'll have companies with 10 to 50 trucks, and they'll still pull off the load boards to fill a truck. So This applies to a lot of people.
5,000 truck freight haulers do. Why do you think companies like Schneider and Swift have their own brokerage division, but they also have their own load boards? I mean, JB Hunt has made a whole business out of it, and they will take brokered freight to reposition a truck or fill a load in one direction. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of brokered freight. You just can't make your entire life off of it.
It's an excellent point. So it was a real hot topic, really long show, very interesting stuff. If you missed that, and I've already started working on the time codes so you can skip ahead. And because I know, if you can skip an hour into a 3-hour show and find the stuff you're looking for, well, then that's a win. Hey, what's up, John? Look at that. John is ringing the Super Chat cowbell on D.O.T. compliance. Thank you, John. Super cool. John is on the carrier on the move. Let's get to that. Let's see. Oh, before we do, we bet you can't stump your D.O.T. guy, Brian. And to double down, we have David on a stump.
I love that meme from David. Thank you, David.
Me too. I love the whole arrangement. The more I look at it, the more it seems super duper planned, but it's not. I don't think.
No, he walked down his backyard with a big stump and took a picture. But you got a car hauler in the background, the safety green shirt. We got everything you need there.
I think somebody that's a great artist should do like a Van Gogh impression of it. Maybe a Monet. That'd be awesome, right? There's John, LAI Auto Transport again. Thanks for the super chat in the live chat. John is a carrier on the move. How do you be a carrier on the move? Send me an email. Send in your truck, send in your load, and it's really that simple. So easy as 1, 2, 3. Send me your load. Here's another. We got another carrier on the move. Fast Eddie joined the Carrier on the Move club.
Mm-hmm.
He had to dig out. He said the picture before this one is a lot of packed snow in front of that car. He had to dig it out. In fact, there it is. You know what? If you look in the back, I think that's where he dug it out. Back here.
Oh, sure. And this right here, I'll use this as a teachable moment if I can for a minute, Jay. We had a driver that suffered a heart attack in winter in upstate New York. Same situation here. The car dealer didn't dig the cars out. They just plowed them in, and he was digging a car out, and he fell over in the parking lot. Fortunately, he survived, but it was the end of his career after that. And so wintertime is when most heart attacks happen and when we're exerting ourselves. So folks, please don't get in a rush and don't let that logbook make you say, I got to shovel real fast. Work on slow. That heavy snow, when it's packed in like that, could be deadly.
And that's such a great point. Actually, I didn't realize there was such a teachable moment, because the other thing is that, while it was a snow shovel, that is a sudden, don't need that surprise. And so hurry in. That's a lot of work. In addition to everything you're already doing.
Yeah, and he would have probably been all right for a little while longer without the extra exertion. But this was upstate New York with maybe 2 foot of snow on and in front of the car, and he was just hustling to get it done. And in the long run, he went to the hospital, and my brother had to go up and recover the truck and trailer and the load, and it was a mess.
That is pretty wild stuff. Wow. All right, well, be safe out there, everybody. Okay, here we go. We know that. It is time. Feel free. So, on How We Doing, we talk about proper load, weight distribution, etc. Darren in the live chat, in the live panel last night, was talking about how he thinks everything should be a fifth wheel, no kingpins. Do you have an opinion on that?
I won't say everything, but I will say I prefer the fifth wheel hitch. Now, a fifth wheel has the kingpin, so no gooseneck would be if you're going to have a fifth wheel.
Thank you.
Yes, and just stop and think about it for a minute. The gooseneck, you have a 2 5/16 inch ball, just like you would on your bumper pull, and You have the trailer sitting down on it, but there's nothing else to it. Whereas a kingpin and a fifth wheel, the 2-inch diameter kingpin has a groove cut in it. The jaws lock around it. It's got a little lip in the bottom, and it's got a flat platform that sits down on it's the upper and lower coupler between the trailer and the fifth wheel. Gives it a lot more stability, a lot tighter of a connection. There's a lot less side to side with that. So there's a reason why we have a fifth wheel on the class 7 and 8 tractors and on the Stingers. I do believe it's a better hitch and low-hanging fruit, but you drop your trailer and you forget to hook your safety chains back up, or DOT officer doesn't like how they're hooked up. A fifth wheel with a kingpin, because it has a secondary latch to prevent it from coming undone, does not require safety chains. Takes away one less, oops, I forgot, DOT violation.
It was very detailed, man. Thank you. It was awesome. We'll keep going. This is good because we do know. I mean, can you imagine right now? Let's say you have a gooseneck. You've always been gooseneck, and you heard that. What are you going to think? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking about ordering the conversion kit, because on the gooseneck you can change out the neck and in most of them you can put a neck in with a kingpin and put a fifth wheel hitch in. Generally, I think they're a little bit better. Or when you spec your next truck, spec a fifth wheel hitch on the truck and then make the conversion to your trailer.
What do you think the conversion kit costs on that kind of thing?
Probably a couple $100 on the trailer side.
Wow.
And whatever a new fifth wheel hitch is going to cost. I've been out of it so long, I don't know what they cost, and if you can install it yourself or if you need a professional to put it on for you. So under $1,000, you could probably make the entire conversion.
That's fascinating. Hey, man, listen here. Speaking of, okay, so you got a message at your podcast. Tell us more about this one. So this was a used car dealer. Yeah, tell us more.
Yeah, in this one, we have a used car dealer that wants to make sure he's doing things right. The only thing I don't know for sure is whether he was crossing state lines while he was doing this, but he has a pickup truck and a trailer, much like the one we just saw from Fast Eddie, and he wanted to know if he needed a DOT number. The short answer is yes. Just because you own the product on the trailer, if it's a business purpose, and there's no doubt that a used car dealer transporting a car to or from an auction is doing business, you're a motor carrier. You're just a private motor carrier, not a for-hire one, so you don't need the MC number to go along with it. And his pickup truck may be under 10,000 without the trailer, but once he hooks the trailer up, he's got a 15,000-pound combined weight, which makes him a federally regulated, DOT-regulated vehicle when he's towing that trailer and going to or from the auction. Even when he's empty, he is still a commercial vehicle at that point. Drop the trailer, his pickup truck is under 10,000 pounds, no longer a commercial vehicle for DOT purposes, but he was asking the right questions. He wanted to make sure he did it right, wanted to know if he had to enter the scale house, which that's a whole nother discussion. It depends upon the state you're in. I'm in Illinois today. Illinois requires all vehicles over 8 tons, so 16,000 pounds gross weight rating to enter the scale. He'd be 1,000 pounds under to need to go into Illinois. But if you're in other states, they're any vehicle over 4 ton, or some are 5 tons, so 8,000 or 10,000 pounds. Some are nothing below 26,000 pounds has to enter. So it depends on the scale in the state you're in. So look at the signs closely. If in doubt, pull in. The worst they're going to do is laugh at you and give you the green light. And so we had some great questions here.
Well, and as I read it, and then so I got a copy of your reply as well, but I wanted to, obviously wanted to talk about it live here, is that it seemed like it benefited him to contact you and ask questions.
Absolutely. I give a little bit of free consulting away, and the simple questions like this I answer, no obligation required, and it gives me something for content here to talk about on this show on ATI or on the podcast. And I'm not actually sure whether he found me from my podcast, On the Road with Your DOT Guy, available wherever you get your podcasts every Saturday, or if he was from your show, but just use the contact form on YourDOTGuy.com to get a hold of us. But either way, he's a listener. He deserves an answer, so we'll give him an answer in an email, and then we just may choose your question to discuss in more detail on the air so that some other folks can learn. Because for everyone that asks us a question, there's probably 10 more people that have the same question.
Speaking of, let's go into the live chat. Let's see here. All right, so here, let's do this. All right, business. All right, here we go. So we're going to start with Silver Mint. Let me back this up a little bit. Is there any room for morals and ethics in the FMCSA regs? Let's say you find yourself with the young couple begging for your help in the middle of the night.
Okay. There's always room for morals and ethics. You have to do what is morally right, even if it's not in compliance. It's no different than that stranded person in the middle of nowhere and picking up a hitchhiker and driving them to the next exit. That's technically a DOT violation, but every one of us probably would do that rather than leave someone stranded 10 miles out of town on a dark road somewhere. Can you get in trouble for it? Sure. There is no, hey, he was doing the morally right or ethically right thing, so we're going to give him a free pass. But they would have to be a pretty big scumbag of an officer to bust you if you truly are just trying to do the right thing and help somebody out that's in distress. I'm not quite sure where you're going with this, but there are, like the passenger rule, there is a minor exception to it for an emergency transport of a passenger. So we could argue that that stranded hitchhiker isn't a DOT violation. Now, your motor carrier may disagree with you too, but yes, short answer, there is some room for morals and ethics in FMCSA rules.
As surprising as that may be. But make a TikTok and then, you've helped somebody and you've got content. That's what we do. Chris says, hey, everyone. Brian, thanks again for your expertise and direction. I have a CDL permit testing tomorrow. I've been in touch
Congratulations.
with Robert from Domino Driving Academy for my road test. Thank you, Brian. Thanks, ATI.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, Bobby's a good guy. He can test, he can administer the skills and road test for every state except Illinois. Illinois still requires you to do the test in the state of Illinois, but otherwise he's a authorized third-party examiner. You get the same test you would get, no breaks just because you know somebody or nothing like that, and you're going to pay dearly for it. He's not cheap, but you're not waiting months for an appointment at your local motor vehicle testing site. And he has a program where you spend some time with him and he'll make sure you know what you're doing before you pay that $500 administration fee to take the test. Plus, he has trucks and trailers available with automatic and manual transmission if you are in the position where you need to rent a truck to take your test, or you don't have a licensed driver to accompany you, so you drive up there in the car and use his truck and trailer. So you have some options up there. A Domino Driving Academy in Hawley, Pennsylvania, and it's all 100% up and up, and he will fail you, and it's pass or fail is the rate, but you can bypass the long waiting at the licensing centers.
This just in, we have a update. So that begging couple in the middle of the night, they bought a POS car that broke down 10 minutes away, and they're begging you to help them get home, knowing that you may be placed in violation. So that's why the couple was begging. Now we know.
All right, and that one is still a little bit of a gray area. If you go on duty to do it, you technically violated your 10-hour break and you have an hours of service issue, where if you have an accident while you're doing someone a favor, and no good deed goes unpunished, if you have an accident when you're doing somebody a favor, you may be in a world of hurt there. And if you charge them and you don't just go move it out of the kindness of your heart, then FMCSA is going to throw everything out the window and say, no, you were just trying to make a quick buck. We don't want to hear you were helping somebody. Towing companies have a specific exemption just for this. If it's an emergency tow, but it has to be ordered by law enforcement or another authorized agency, then they can interrupt their 10-hour break. Hours of service don't apply while they're servicing that emergency tow, but then they have to go back and start their 10-hour break all over again. And so if you were to interrupt your break in the middle of the night to go move their car, the right thing to do is start your break all over. But the real thing is you're just not going to log it. You're going to do personal conveyance, and that's not right, but that's what most guys are going to do.
Did you hear how much red tape was right there in doing the right thing? Holy cow.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's wild, isn't it? Let's see. And David says go to a dealership on the fifth wheel. He bought a 50,000 pound fifth wheel for 800. He says 25K costs more than that. Sideshow the producer, as a brand new car hauler, what is the best load board to get booked on? I know I probably won't get good loads immediately, but I'm new. Great question. And so here's what I want you to do, Sideshow. Two things. One is I'm going to share the link again to last night's show. And if you look in, and I'll put this in the live chat, top 12 load boards. That's auto transport load boards, but I'm typing while I'm live, so I don't want to eat up too much time. By the way, mic check 1 2 3. How we do? And you can see if you look, click on that link, go to the description, and you'll see the 12 load boards that we came up with. We actually made a few adjustments live, and you can see that 12 load boards. Then join us tomorrow on Dispatching Live, because we're going to talk about it some more. And you can also live chat with us if you have questions, if you need advice, if you want to debate. And I didn't even say Dispatching Live. I just posted the link. So click on you got 2 links in there. You got some homework, and that should help. And I appreciate the question. And let's see, Devin says, a Sideshow producer, there are other ways to get loads, contact local dealerships. Which, if you're looking for other ways to get loads, then you can tune into Melting Block of Ice on Cars on the Move, where we connect dealers, auctions, and carriers. So go round and around. And that's how we came up with the Tuesday through Friday format, is that each show offers a different side. Look at Brian is like, yes. Where's the compliance?
I understand all this after having trucks for so many years, and
I love it.
If you're really good, you can take great advantage of that melting block of ice. For those that don't understand the term, that inventory, the moment the dealer buys it, starts losing value sitting at the auction. He can't sell it while it's sitting at the auction. It needs to be in his lot. If you can provide him high quality expedited service, that is worth more money, and don't give that away. And so if they can make a good relationship with you, that is how you make a successful auto transport business. It's all on the relationships.
And there's not as much melting ice as there used to be, but it is now digital ice, and digital ice is still ice.
Well, digital's changing everything, because when we're selling cars on site now, they don't run across the block or through the lane at the auction anymore. It's a virtual lane, and we're selling them in the back lot of the dealership they're sitting at, or the repo yard, or whatever. Now it's changed the way we do business, and you've got to be able to put together these multi-stop milk runs, and you got to be self-contained so you can load these vehicles when there's surprises, and that's where your value-added service is today.
Well, and I'll tell you, and I just want to say this, camera one, is that if you run into a term you don't know what it means, Auto Transport Intel is the channel you can ask. There are no dumb questions, because I know there's a lot of new terms. Like, what does a digital auction actually do? And we can talk about that, but I want to say this is, with the digital auctions, one of the dirty secrets is, once that car has sold on digital auction, they need to get it off the lot. Even if that means just moving it to another lot. They need to get it off the lot.
I ran, they're no longer in business, but I ran one of the early concepts on a virtual salvage auction. It was a company called Salvage Direct. They didn't have brick and mortar physical locations like Copart and IAA do. They contracted with companies like me that had a storage lot and some tow trucks to gather up their cars and hold them for them. But they had 48 hours from the time that gavel fell and the car belonged to somebody to get it out of my yard, or they started paying me storage, and they paid me a gate fee and everything else for loading it. So it was great for me as the auction operator, not so good for the buyer if they couldn't get it picked up quickly. So when you're dealing with these type of vehicles that were sold remotely, time is of the essence. Don't be afraid to ask for a little more money when you know they're running out of time. Learn. Okay, we're out way away from compliance, but learn the time limits that these online auctions have, and know that they're desperate to get that vehicle moved, and then you can ask for a little bit more. And if you're asking them for what storage is going to be for the weekend, Friday afternoon is a hot spot, because when places are closed for the weekend, you can't pick a car up like a Copart. They're eating $30-$40 a day in storage. They want that car out of there. You might make an extra $150 on the rate if you can get there and pick it up quickly.
Amen to that. All right, here's some compliance stuff. Foreign truckers must be vaccinated. You know, I don't talk about vaccinations because people's heads explode, everyone jumps out the window, and nothing gets done. But this is pretty wild stuff.
I'm surprised to see this happen. And both Canada and Mexico have put this rule in place, so the U.S. followed with a similar rule. So United States citizens can get back into the U.S. from Canada or Mexico without a vaccine currently, and Canadian and Mexican nationals can get back into their respective home country. But after that, once you're home, you're not crossing the border, and an American trucker is not entering Canada without being fully vaccinated, which is a misnomer, because it just means you have to be current with your vaccines. So 2 shots, maybe the booster if you're eligible for it, or 1 shot if you had the Johnson & Johnson. And I'm not here talking about pros and cons of vaccination. I have some very strong personal feelings on it. But the problem is, this is going to interfere with international commerce. And there's been some protests up in Canada. I mean, the Canadian truckers are not taking this lying down, because
the problems this is I mean, this goes beyond just disease control. I mean,
and I understand the concept of trying to control this, but vaccines probably are not the right manner. They haven't done well in even highly controlled environments like island nations, and truckers are generally, they work alone. You're in the cab of the truck by yourself.
Right.
You may interact with some people at a warehouse or at a fuel stop or a restaurant, but really you have very few interactions with people outside the trucking community. And so I don't understand the push for this, but it's caused retaliation between the 3 nations on, well, if you're going to do this, then we're going to make your citizens do that as well. And it's causing a major interruption in our supply chain. And it's really bad for Canada, because they don't have the abundance of ports like we do to get the imported goods. A lot of their goods come into American ports and then go north in trucks, and a lot of energy products come out of Canada back south here, and a lot of transcontinental freight comes from Mexico right through the U.S. to Canada, and vice versa. So it's left everybody in a really bad spot. I will say one thing: the Canadians, they've organized against this, and they have a GoFundMe page that has raised over $3 million, as the last time I checked on it yesterday, to provide for fuel, meals, and and support for these truckers that are protesting at the border. The Canadian Trucking Association has called them out and said, "Oh, this isn't the right way to do it." But these are independent guys, and they're just sick of having stuff shoved down their throat, and they're standing up for it. So my hat's off to them, and hopefully we get some common sense out of this.
Probably another example of everybody in charge writing the laws and, high-fiving. Nobody was ever in a truck. Which is...
they don't...
You're right, they don't know.
No, they don't. They don't understand what we do. They don't understand what we have to deal with out here. And they figure, we'll just strong-arm someone into this. And they don't understand the independent nature of the modern of the truck driver. And bottom line, those that want to be vaccinated are vaccinated in North America. So you're not going to force other people. You're going to make it inconvenient, but you're not going to really get a large number that are going to do this against their will because they're being forced to. So I don't know what this is going to accomplish. I really don't. And I am watching it closely because it could have long-reaching effects on everything. We were just starting to recover production and freight in warehouses and parts for cars, and can be devastating to the automotive industry because of the simple amount of just-in-time freight that moves across the Canadian border back into the States and vice versa for the automotive industry for building cars. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here.
I just want to bring this up. We're almost out of time, but now Robin will be the new. I think she spent a lot of time in trucks.
They're not going to put somebody that is a truck driver in charge of the FMCSA. And I don't even think they have to. There's been a lot of calls for people that are drivers should be in these leader positions, and the D.O.T. and FMCSA, they should all have to have driven a truck for a while. And you don't necessarily have to have done this job, but you have to be like Administrator Martinez. He was one of my favorite FMCSA administrators for the short time he was there because he would listen. And he would come to where the trucks were and talk to us and listen. And he was open. And it actually led to a much better FMCSA for transparency and for listening to us. So I wish Miss Hutchinson the best. She has a history with the US DOT. I don't know how good her skills are as an administrator yet, but it's been over 2 years since FMCSA has had an actual appointed full-time administrator. Since Administrator Martinez left for another position in the DOT, and nothing can get done. Nothing of substance gets done without a political appointed administrator. Right now, they're just in a holding pattern over there.
Well, watching, I don't remember the lady's name, and I don't know her, and I'm speculating live, but just watching her take the next job and then leaving, and I saw the transaction, and I thought, man, this is embarrassing.
Well, I can say I have 2 points, and if I can speak freely without getting too political, when Mirazoshi went back to New York City, that didn't surprise me. She's New York City through and through, and so when Eric Adams won the mayoral race up there, she came out of the Taxi and Limousine Commission, and then she was offered a chance to be a deputy mayor for infrastructure, I believe is her actual title up there. She's going to jump at that because Mayor Adams has at least 4 years, and in New York City, they tend to win re-election at least once, the incumbent does. So she's looking at 12-year career. Here, we're already in midterm elections, and she wasn't even confirmed. Senate probably wasn't going to confirm her this year because they're now worried about being reelected, and they're playing dirty politics. So for her, it made perfect sense for her career to jump on this opportunity while it was there, and it might even signify the Biden administration has its lowest approval rating. They have a horrible rating right now. It might even signify internally that some of his appointees are looking for their exit strategy because they don't believe he's going to win re-election in 2 years, and they don't want to hitch themselves to a sinking ship, so to say.
Well, and the cherry on top is just remember, every time you see Elaine Chow's head pop up again, it's like, really, Elaine?
She's just stumping for her husband. That's
I know, and it's so obvious. It's just, please.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Secretary of Transportation, she didn't get much done except bring some money to Kentucky.
Hey, well, and in politics, that's everything. So, Brian, we appreciate that you're in touch with this stuff. We know it's dry and boring and dull and whatnot, but it is, it's an important aspect. We don't like politics, but it's everywhere. So we have to try to keep some tabs and make sense.
I have a strong dislike for politics. I really
too.
do. But I'm the lobbyist member of the Towing and Recovery Association of America, and I work with several other trade associations, including the Independent Auto Transporter Alliance, because even though I dislike politics, you need somebody on our side following it and speaking up for us. And we need you to be involved too. We need you to build relationships with your state and federal representatives, your senators, your congressmen. We can't do it alone. And if we want to make a better trucking industry, we need to speak up for ourselves. So as much as politics might leave a dirty taste in your mouth, don't say, oh, somebody else is going to take care of that for me. Please, we need some help. And as far as keeping it lively and entertaining, that's what I love about this show, because we can laugh and joke, and
Right.
you never know what to expect out of us.
We don't know what we're going to talk about, but it is, I mean, these are real opinions. And I want to say, since we're on politics, you got to get involved, because if everybody talks like Ted Cruz, man, nothing
Yes.
gets done.
And
I don't know what
plug.
he's saying half the time. He just flip-flops.
No,
He flip-flops more than flip-floppers flip-flop.
He says whatever he thinks the audience in front of him wants to hear, and that's not what I want.
Even Elaine Chow's like, ooh.
So before we go, shameless plug here.
Oh, yeah.
If you want a little more serious conversation without the bells and the cowbell and the laughing and joking, which nobody does. We all want to have a good time and be entertained. But On the Road with Your D.O.T. Guy, Brian Riker, that would be hosted by me. New episodes every Saturday. I am still working with my producer there. This week, we didn't get up till midnight Saturday. We're still having a problem being found on the iTunes platform. But if you go to YourDOTGuy.com, there's a link to the podcast. You can listen to it the old-fashioned way till we get all the hosting worked out. This week, I have a special guest, Jeffrey Godwin. He is president of the FTI Group, which is a division of ArcBest, the company that owns ABF Freight and a bunch of other companies. And they're promoting, he's sponsored a podcast, but they're promoting Cervicase, which is a free online search tool for motor carriers. So owner-operators included, to find road service companies when you're broke down, you don't know where you are. This way you're not depending upon Google or Bing or anything else. And you can even input all your information and digitally dispatch a road service or a tow truck to come rescue you. And we're going to talk not just about that, but we're going to talk about how to avoid getting taken advantage of and how to spot a good versus a bad roadside mechanic. And hopefully there's something you can learn in there. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when your truck is going to break down. This one follows up nicely to the current episode that's up right now about not getting taken advantage of and selecting a towing company, where I interviewed a 50-year towing industry veteran, John Borowski. And so we got some information there for you.
Awesome. I'm so glad you brought that up. Brian, thank you so much for all that you do, your time here, your expertise, opinions, and involvement with alliances and information. And yeah, somebody's got it. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. We want to thank everybody jumping in the live chat, saying hello today, and let us know how we can help you. If you need more Brian, it is there in the live chat. Click on YourDOTGuy.com. Tune into the podcast. Brian, thank you again for such a great show. I think next week we don't have a special guest yet. We may. Isn't
it the 9th, right?
Mark is in 2 weeks. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So regularly scheduled program next Wednesday. Keep sending in the news. Become a carrier on the move. Let us know how we can help you. And Brian, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
All right, we'll see you next week. Peace.